Hey, I had a plan, and I'm afraid it may have backfired on me. Last week, I did most of my own filming on our MT and Me segment so Ree could stay busy making that delicious caramel peanut brittle. Well, she was so impressed with how I did filming myself that she gave me a homework assignment doing some more. She asked me to come out here and film myself evaluating how to get the propane tanks out of the MT. Check it out. Hi, I'm Russ. I'm rebuilding a 1977 Mobile Traveler motorhome, and this is all about the MT and me. All right, I'm here doing a homework assignment, and we'll see if it turns out good enough to use. We're going to evaluate the propane tanks here from the outside today. Got a hunch that perhaps this area right here is where the tanks are located from the outside. And this may be part of the problem about why the floor inside is so wet. Whenever we took out the freshwater tank, the floor underneath it was absolutely destroyed from being water soaked. Now, it's reasonable to assume that possibly the freshwater tank had a leak. The tank itself isn't leaking, but maybe one of the connections was seeping, and therefore that's where the water came from. But it's also a very good possibility that this propane system is leaking, because here from the outside of the MT, as you can see, we've got the tanks located right here. Now the door is gone. We have to replace it anyway. But we've got the tanks here on the outside. Well, the freshwater tank is right, or was, right inside here. This was the fill inlet for it right here. So this floor area we're talking about is located right in here. Right on par with the inside of the propane tank enclosure. So, what we're going to have to determine is taking these tanks out. We're thinking about, at this point, taking this entire metal enclosure out anyway and putting the propane tanks somewhere else whenever we actually get ready to do our remodeling. Whether or not that's going to be the case remains to be seen. That's not the real issue for today. The real matter today is looking at these tanks and trying to do a little evaluation on them. Now, as you can see, twin tanks. This is where they're held in. We take this off, disconnect the fitting here. That's the feed line. We do all that, I think both of those tanks will come completely out and we won't have any problem with it at all. As for this metal enclosure they're in, I really don't see from the outside here how it is fastened or bonded to the rest of the MT. There is a covered frame around here. If I pop that out, there might possibly be some screws in there that are holding it in place. There are apparently no screws inside that I can see. And there's nothing that apparently holds it in place. So we'll have to pop these little covers off to see what's under there. Maybe a screw holding it in. It is sealed around the edge, but it's got to be something a lot more than that silicone sealant holding it in place. We'll also go inside to look and see if there's any indication in there about what might have it actually secured to the MT. But however it's fastened in, we'll be able to figure out a way to get it out, one way or the other. Then all we have to do is patch over this opening and then put our fiberglass over it like we're going to do the siding anyway. So that can all be covered up quite easily. Let's go look at it inside and see what it's like. And just like that, we're on the inside looking at the same metal box. And I don't know about you, but I can't see any visible means as to how this is connected to the MT. So right now my best bet is going to be taking the covers off that framing on the outside to see if there's some screws there that hold it in place. So all that brings us to here today, taking these propane tanks out and then trying to remove the case, the metal case that the propane tanks are in. And I'd like to point out that once again it's just me and the camera, because Cherie's doing some work inside the MT. She's still working on getting wall coverings off. I think we pointed out on an earlier video that they glued the paneling to the insulation that's in the walls underneath. So her knowledge as a conservator, she's worked a lot with wood and paper as far as preservation goes, and her knowledge is paying off because she knows how to, several methods to dissolve glue and adhesive, and that's helping to get that paneling off quite smoothly. So, me doing my own filming is allowing us to split our work time, so to speak. She's going to accomplish more in there, and I'm going to try to accomplish something out here. So, all that being said, what do you say me and you work on getting some tanks out? First thing to do is going to be disconnecting the hose. And before I do that, I want to point out once again, there is no propane in this system. These tanks have been sitting idle for close to 2 decades. I would not gas them up and use them, not without having them thoroughly pressure checked. They're probably spider webs inside these tanks. So I am very certain that there is absolutely no gas in this system. I've already disconnected the other ends of the lines and things like that. Therefore, it's perfectly safe to take this connection off without doing any further testing or checking, okay? I got that clear. Whoever put it on last time didn't want it to come off. There we go. Next thing, you've got this butterfly type handle on top to screw off. That frees our tanks up. All that remains now is to figure out exactly how to get them out of here. I've never done this before. I've never worked on RV propane system in the least, so this is a voyage of discovery for me. Wish me luck. And the tanks are out. So, I feel accomplished. We have the propane tanks out. I feel certain that the regulator assembly would definitely need to be replaced. So, all that's neither here nor there for the time being. We're a long way from putting propane back in the MT. But our next step is going to be to get this box out. Now, you may recall earlier, let's see if I can pull it off. Yeah, there we are. We discovered it's screwed in all the way around, all these little side panels that will pry out when I get a screwdriver. Now, the other potential problem I see here is this stand pipe. This is a 1/2 inch iron pipe, goes all the way through the flooring, connects with another iron pipe underneath that feeds the propane system. So here again, this has been installed and assembled since 1977. I'm not sure how much of a fuss it's going to put up if I try to take it out. Next step is getting these screws out and finding out. And 27 screws later, the last one. Now, if we break the seal around this, it ought to at least move. Well, I didn't expect this. The frame is separate from the box. So this entire front frame is obviously coming off, except for one corner that doesn't want to let go. And when it let loose, it let loose. That leaves us with a metal box that is obviously not just going to pull out easily. What we need to figure out is whether or not it's going to pull out at all. Actually, that's a bit of a misnomer. It was put in, so there is obviously a way for it to come out. We just have to find that way. Simple. Okay, so I'm going to have to get under the MT to see, first of all, if this is fastened in place and it's helped to hold this box down. There's a very good chance that it does go all the way through to the bottom and needs to be undone. And I'm still thinking the standpipe is going to be a problem. Okay, so I got under there, found the bolt, sprayed it with a little bit of solvent, let it soak for a while, and sure enough it moved a little bit, and then it just snapped right off. So, nice clean break. But you know what? Because it snapped off, that means this thing ought to come right out. Look at there. And now, I believe we'll be able to actually go inside the MT and pull this box free and lift it up and off of this standpipe.
Russ,
Yes.
next time you go to bang something like that, give me a little fair warning, please.
Well, that takes all the excitement out of the job if I do that.
I know.
All right. Get ready. I'm coming in. We're going to see if we can pull that box out, okay? All right. Got her. Inside the MT, Ria's recovered from her little scare she mentioned, She's behind the camera again. Say hi, Reed.
Hi.
And we, or me, is about to remove this metal box. Let's hope so. Actually, it went a lot easier than I thought it would. The propane box is out of there. Yay! Watch it not fit out the door. Just barely. Now, what we're finding here is that the floor is completely soaked. The wooden floor completely soaked underneath where the box has been. So this entire area had been wet for a long time. It's just going to have to dry out, and then we'll see about getting all the remnants of the wood out and replacing it. That's for another day. Propane box is out. Put a piece of plastic over this opening that I'm crawling through right here. Unless you want to keep it, Reed. Makes a nice little escape hatch we could, or a doggy door.
I think plastic over it for now would be a good idea.
This standpipe would eventually get you, one way or the other. So,
But I have a request, if you don't mind.
what would that be?
You've done such a great job on taking that one out.
Uh-huh.
How would you feel about pulling the battery box out of the other wall?
Okay, I don't think we're going to have as many issues with it, so sure, why not?
All right.
Ah. So how's it going there?
It is going. I hope. How's it going on your end?
Well, I'm going to see if I can get that battery box out, but first I thought we'd check on how frustrated you are trying to pull a wall down.
Ugh. I shall not be defeated.
That's the spirit. Well, bon chance with that.
Thanks.
What we have here is your average run-of-the-mill RV single battery box that is totally rusted out and therefore completely useless. So we're going to take it out. Construction is just like the propane bottle box was. So this was going to pull straight out, but there's a couple of screws, informs me, from the inside, a couple of screws in the top that I need to get out. So we go inside and take a look. Okay, so here on the inside, you can see what she's talking about, what Ree meant. A couple of screws sticking up here. Thing is, rather than try to take them out from inside the box, I think I can pull the box through on this side. Maybe. And there we are. Do you see what I mean about it being rusted out? There's absolutely no bottom in it completely. And there's been nothing but a water trap for a long, long time. And to think, this was the electrical system. That's encouraging, isn't it? I was about to take the battery box here to the scrap metal pile we have, because that's really about all it is now. You know, when I was taking it out, we mentioned these couple of screws here in the top that come through from the inside. They held some sort of connector panel on. Well, I just happened to look as I went to throw it away to see what it was. I've got to tell you, I've been very complimentary of the Mobile Traveler people in taking this MT apart. It is well constructed, well made. It's actually difficult to tear it up right now, even though there's water damage and rust and everything else is worn out. It's still a bit of a challenge because they built their product so well. It's well built and for the most part well designed. I say for the most part because I have found a flaw. In the top of this battery box, being held in place by those two screws, is absolutely the worst place to put a fuse block. It is hidden. It is virtually inaccessible. The way this box set was like this. It actually had a wooden bottom in it. And the battery, the RV battery, sat here and made the connections, you know, to the rest of the RV. Well, in order to get to the fuses, to even check them, you'd have to take the battery out. And then once you did, you're going to be on your head looking inside like this, trying to work on it. So, of all places, convenient electrically, maybe. But convenient as far as servicing goes, no, forget it. That's the worst place you could put fuses. So, Mobile Traveler, your perfect score just went down a few marks. But I guess that's life. In the meantime, this is going to the scrap metal pile. I still think they're the best made motorhomes ever. All right. Anything else you need taken out today?
I think that's enough for this video.
All right. Well, in that case, thank you for being behind the camera part of the time. It's been a big help. I miss you when you're not there, okay?
But I get so much more done when you can do it yourself.
Well, teamwork, that's what it's all about.
Yes, it is.
And the team will be back next week with some more work on our beautiful Pearl here. Till then, that's going to be it for this time. We need you to subscribe if you haven't. Our subscription numbers are crawling on up there. We're in the 70s. We need to get to 100, so help us out if you haven't subscribed, okay? Be sure to give us a thumbs up, like and share this video, follow us on Facebook, and join us next time. Till then, I'm Russ. Ree, right now, is behind the camera, and we will talk later.